things. Here is the agenda, here's the agenda. I speak quickly. I'm going to try to move through this competently, okay, quickly. But we're going to talk about, for those that are into the data collection and are ready for the analysis, you need to know levels of measurement, what a Likert type scale is, what tests to select, how you set up data, and then get into the intellectus account. So those are for the folks that are in the data collection process. The first 5 things are going to be important, and then we'll talk about some other things along the way. For those that have not collected data yet, we should be and don't know what kind of data to collect. So let's just start with, I don't know what kind of data to collect. So this is, most folks on this call are a DNP, so you want it to be really easy. Most projects have very simple things that they're measuring. They're taking some scale, competency, pre to post, knowledge, pre to post. Okay. You just got to figure out what is your PICO question or your real study aim. Okay. Don't spend 2 months doing that. Spend a day and say, here are my options. Me and my advisor agree on this. Okay. And maybe we need to be listing, maybe I need to be listing on our website some options for you all, but keep it very simple. What is simple? Simple would be that I'm going to do some knowledge check, okay? And I'm going to give folks a questionnaire about knowledge on some topic. I'm going to give them some education to read. I'm going to test their knowledge again. Simple pre-post test, sample size 15. That's simple. So don't go crazy. Just pick something, okay? It's one step, all right? And there's other fish to fry in your scholarly project, or for nurse scientists out there, we have lots of fish to fry. Don't spend all of your time thinking about what type of fish to get. Pick a topic, do some simple pre-post test, psychoeducation, or what your advisor may suggest. For those that are going to collect data, some things that you're going to want to consider, okay? If it's paper and pencil, or whether it's online, you want to match those people pre to post. I'm using pre to post because most projects are pre to post. Pair t-test, match sample, same darn thing, okay? So you need to have a unique identifier. Could still be, someone said yesterday, well, it's supposed to be anonymous. Okay, you don't know what code 73J means, okay? That's still anonymous, but I can match 73J before and 73J after. So you have to have some identifier of some sort. Make it up. Their mother's birth date, whatever. Okay, so it's still anonymous, but you're able to pair these folks together pre to post. Okay, let's keep moving through this thing. So, and if you have questions about what kind of data to collect, call us. If you don't, if you're, want to vet something, okay, I'm happy to spend 10 minutes with you and figure out, that you're on the right track. We'll give you a QR code at the end, and you can use that. For those of you that have collected data, congratulations. Okay, that's a milestone for sure. You've passed a proposal, you've passed IRB, you've gone through and put the survey out there, or whatever data you're collecting, and have it. So good job. Okay, so I'm going to go over some basics. You need to know this before you go into the analyses. So levels of measurement, basically nominal, ordinal, scale. Nominal, just names of things. Republican, Democrat, Independent, male, female, non-binary, just labels, okay? Ordinal have labels, small, medium, large, but they also have an order. Scale, they have labels, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. They have an order, 2 after 1, 3 after 2, and they also have equal intervals in between. It could be equal volumes. 1 ounce to 2 ounce, 2 ounce to 3 ounce, 4 ounce to 4, okay? It could be 1 inch to 2 inch. It could, things of this sort, okay? So just know certain tests only allow certain levels of measurement. Thus, you need to know what levels of measurement are. Okay. People sometimes get stuck about, is my instrument ordinal or scale? Ordinal with that icon, ordered, or scale, like a ruler, all right? So the rule of thumb is this. If it's a 3 or 4 point scale, keep it as ordinal. If it's a 5 or 7 point scale, okay, strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree, keep it as scale. That's if you're just using that one item. Okay, it's a one item level of agreement. Most people have numerous items in their scale. You should also be using reliable, valid, established instruments for your scales, okay? For lots of reasons, but at the moment, let's just say you need to do that, okay? You don't want to be creating scales as a DNP student. Okay. When you have any kind of a scale, several questions, okay? Whether it's a yes or no, or whether it's 3 point, a 4 point, a 5 point, a 7 point, as soon as you collapse those, you are now in a scale level of measurement. For example, when you were in grade school and you had a 10-point test, each question was correct or incorrect. Okay, that's a nominal thing, correct or incorrect. That's a label. Okay. Once I start adding those together, I got 7 correct, 8 correct, 9 correct. Okay, now that's a scale level measurement. So a lot of these things don't matter. If it's an individual item, it kind of matters. Once you start adding, averaging, okay, you're in scale land. And again, the reason to know that is that some tests, like a paired t-test, okay, all right, requires a scale level measurement. Most of the problems I see in the world, new heading, test selection. Most of the problems I see in the world are students not knowing what type of test. DNP students, 8 out of 10 of you are doing paired sample t-test, okay? Which is I have some scale level measurement before, there's some intervention, or there's some time, or something happens in between, and then there's a post test, okay? So any kind of matched pre to post test, you're in paired t-test land. But for others, I'm gonna talk about statistical language, and I'm gonna talk about levels of measurement, which I just did. Your PICO question, I mean, okay, you need to do these things, okay? You got to talk about population. What am I going to be doing in between the pre and post? Okay, and you're typically comparing your post-test to your pre-test. Outcome variable, dependent measures. What are you measuring from those folks? Okay. What period of time? So forth. So I get the value of the PICO question, but I want to make sure that you have in your brains the essence of the question. And the essence of the question is really around the outcome measure and what you're comparing it to. Okay. I'm looking at pain scores from pre to post. I want to see if this intervention impacts pain scores or competency or whatever. Okay. So try to get, even though you're doing this kind of grander PICO, try to think about what are the nuts and bolts of my question, which is really what is my variable or variables and what is the comparison I'm doing here? Okay. Call that PICO light. Okay. Basically, those kinds of questions are there differences on some variable pre to post, like pain? Okay. Does pain relate to the amount of medication I'm giving? Ibuprofen, okay? Okay. Does the dose of ibuprofen and pain, do those relate together? Okay. And then prediction. Does ibuprofen, different doses, impact or predict pain levels? Okay. So those are typical questions to be had, okay? As I say, the research says and my experience says, everyone's doing kind of paired t-tests. There are other cases to be sure, but they mostly come in this variety. Okay. For a paired t-test, people don't know how to set up the data. By the way, quite common because you've never set up that data before. Okay. You took a class a year ago, okay, and so I'm just here to share with you how that data should be set up. So in Intellectus or in Excel, each individual ID, identifier, all of that data from that participant is on that same row. So their pre-post data or their 10 questions of pre-test, the 10 questions of post-test, any of the demographic variables, all of that's on the same exact row. Okay. And that's a pre-post, okay, or paired sample t-test setup. Independent sample t-test is different, okay? Here, you have different people, okay? And again, each person's on a row, but those folks may be different. So for example, I have maybe not pre-post, maybe I should have said control and experimental. The control group, I'm not going to give any ibuprofen, and I'm going to assess the pain. For the intervention group, okay, or the treatment group, I'm going to give them 400 milligrams of ibuprofen, okay? So those need to be stacked, okay? By the way, a good way to do that is in the Intellectus tool, which I hope you're all buying in triplicates or getting from your departments. When you go into the example data set, and if you go into an example data set of independent t-test or an example data set of a paired t-test, you will see how that data is being set up. Okay. Data cleaning wizard I'm going to show you. This came out of comments like you all, which is, hey, you know what? Data cleaning takes a lot of time. So we have a data cleaning wizard to walk you through and wizard you through that process. So this is a little bit of a sidebar, but want to share it with you that there's really kinds of two ways of seeing what is significant. And what we talk about in DNP projects and neurosciences projects and most other research in the world, we're talking about statistical significance, which is this p equals 0.05, which is technically speaking, 5 times out of 100, I'm likely to get a t-value by chance. And when that probability or likelihood is less than 0.05 or 5%, we say that t is statistically significant, okay? So statistical significance is one animal, okay? The other animal is the clinical significance, the importance of, okay, of these differences. What does that mean? I think I get to some examples here. Okay, so practical clinical significance. So let me see if I have, so here are some examples. Blood pressure medication reduces blood pressure, okay, but it doesn't reduce, this is statistically significant, p less than 0.01 or 0.01, but it's not clinically significant, okay? The blood pressure medication reduces the blood pressure, but it doesn't impact cardiovascular events. Pain reliever shows improvement, but only reduces pain a little bit. Okay. And sometimes that statistical significance is based on the sample size. For large sample sizes, oftentimes you can find statistical significance, but the change is so minute. Okay. Well, on the flip side of the coin, sometimes there is clinical significance, but not statistical significance. By that I mean, hey, you know what? Falls, huge problem in the globe. People fall for all kinds of reasons. 10% of those things are serious. That means the patient's going to get hurt, die, and your hospital is going to get sued. So you're gonna want to reduce those, even if it's not statistically significant. If you can reduce falls by some number, okay, or some percentage, that's great for everybody. Okay. So the point is that some things are really important, even if it doesn't reach statistical significance. Okay. And if you have both of those, which surprisingly, even for small studies, I've seen recently, small studies of an N of 6, which had both statistical significance and clinical significance. And that clinical significance is typically expressed as a effect size, as an effect size, okay? Which in the parent t-test world, we're talking about Cohen's D, larger than 0.0, larger than 0.5. So, okay, just an example of both. AI summary, I'm going to show you that this is really this is really morphed into a discussion draft. So not only are you going to get a draft of your results very quickly, you're going to get um, a, a draft of your discussion section as well. So I'll show you all of that. And then let's just log in. You can log in, Melissa. I presume that, and Melissa actually and Samantha are all here to answer questions, as some of you have been getting. And then you log into this website and you can follow along. Okay. Are there other questions in the chat or in the Q&A that I need to be addressing, Melissa?
I don't think so yet. I think a few people shared their projects, so we'll get to those down the road.
We're going to get to those down the road. Okay. All right. So let me, so let's get to this. And let me see if I can just update this to make sure this is. Okay, great. So I do have a few here. Let me just bang through Data Cleaning Wizard. Maybe not. Maybe we just go to projects. Okay, because and we'll slowly go through these things. So let's just get to Jessica from Iowa, and maybe we can get her in there, and we'll just jump to it. Okay.
Jessica, if you could raise your hand, then we could find you in here and unmute you. Okay.
Okay. And here's Jessica, load project. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. All right, Jessica, we're gonna bang through this. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna apologize. This looks kind of messy because I was just trying to get it up. I'm not entirely sure how to organize it, and I'm not completely done entering all of my data, but I wanted to have something.
Okay. So you are correct. It does look messy. uh, and data cleaning is definitely part of it. Let's see if we could just take a piece of this though.
Yeah.
And what is your just take. Okay, so you have a lot of data and much more than the average bear, which is probably not your fault. So, and my first question is, boy, do we need all this data? So, what is your main question here, Jessica, with this data?
Like what question am I, like my Pico question, like what I'm answering?
What's your Pico question? Yeah, but and I would
Okay.
Pico light, like what are we looking to examine given this data?
So does a systematic implementation of a validated swallow screening compared to standard MICU practices improve post-extubation dysphagia swallow screening completion within 6 hours of endotracheal tube removal?
Okay, you just said about 25 different things in there. So I got that some people are screened, some people are not, or does everybody get screened?
Basically no one was screened before
Oh.
my project. After implementation, a
Okay,
good chunk of people got screened, and then also increased the amount of speech therapy consults and dysphagia diagnoses.
okay, so our main outcome variable is the dysphagia diagnosis? What is our main outcome variable that we're looking to see a difference on based on screening and no screening? What is our outcome variable there?
People being screened. Like just trying to get people to be screened, I guess.
Yeah, but before your intervention, no one was being screened.
Correct.
And then with your intervention, what, some proportion got screened?
Yes.
Okay. And what proportion got screened? So 0 before, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then what percent got screened after?
Um, I would
100%?
say there was probably like a 50% increase in people screening
Okay, and
their
what was the
patients.
sample size there?
Say that again.
What was the sample size there, please?
Um,
50%
I
of what?
just, yeah, of patients that got, so far I've looked through
Rough number. Rough number.
350
Got it.
patients.
Okay. So you are what I would consider a one-off. Okay, so you're not doing set, which is totally fine. So I'm going to just take a quick sidebar and then kind of capture most. So you really have kind of two ways of doing this. Okay, without
Okay.
any data, you're in proportion test land. Okay, and I guess some people are going to be in proportion test land like you. So under the analysis, under one proportion z-test, really, you're in here and really you have the proportion name is really, something like, post, intervention, okay, screening, okay. And then our sample size here, which is why I asked, is 350. The proportion you said is 0.5, okay. And really we're testing that to 0 screening before, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
So the trick is knowing what test, all right? But basically,
Mhm.
if I understood you thus far, that's really what we're doing here, okay? Does that 50% differ statistically from the 0? I probably don't need a calculator to do this, but nevertheless, to document it, all right? So there's an assumption with that one proportion z-test, and that is of normality. Basically, what this is saying at sample sizes that are large, I really think the number is probably over 30, but over 50s here. Here's the reference, okay? That that you can assume normality. And here we can see, hey gosh, yes, it was statistically significant that 50% screening is statistically different than that 0%, okay? And then and that portion of post-intervention screening is not most likely higher, definitely higher, okay? Higher than that 0, but statistically so. So that's kind of where you're at with that one aspect of your PICO.
Okay.
All right. So some data is amenable, but once you start with proportions, okay, you really kind of are going to be in proportion test land. Now, if you had the number before, like, hey, before the intervention, I had 200 people, only 10% got screened. You would use that 2 proportion z-test, okay? And you may
Okay.
have some of those numbers before, but I just went off of, hey, gosh, we're comparing it to 0, whether you had 5 people, 1,000 people, didn't matter. You're all at 0, okay? And I could just do that one proportion, comparing your 50% of your 350 to the 0. All right. And this is also in your thing there, okay? In your
Okay,
document. I hope that helped.
that did.
Awesome. All right. Who's up next here? Let's just keep banging through this. We have okay, so okay. We'll see how this goes here.
Or if you shared your project, maybe raise your hand.
All right. And let's see what we have going on here. Another kind of one-off here, but we'll deal with this. And then I'm going to go to my examples for what I think other folks are going to be doing. We have any hand raisers?
Not yet.
Okay.
And then just everyone, if you shared your project, please raise your hand and then we'll unmute you.
That's fine. And then in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I will go to some example here. Okay, so let's just do this. Let me just make a project. Okay. So, well, let me just say for everyone new to the tool, one thing is you want to go to this question mark here. And that question mark is going to bring you to the video library. And in that video library, we have bucketed groups. There's about 85 videos there about how do I upload data or how do I conduct a t-test, okay, and so forth. So these little 3-minute videos are going to be your friends to upload data, perhaps manage data, and then conduct the analyses. And let me just get to let me just get to or make a quick data set here. Okay, so if I just have sex, male, female, female. Okay, and then I have let's just say emotional exhaustion, the Matchlock burnout scale. I should be up there. Emotional exhaustion, and we have scores here. I really don't know what these ranges are though. Should find that's fine. Let's just say 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oops. Okay. 2, 3. So let's just take a very base. Let me do a pre-post test though. So imagine it's emotional exhaustion pre. Okay. And then we have emotional exhaustion post. Okay. Imagine that those were really some intervention of mindfulness and meditation, really reduce these. Well, we'll find out. Okay. So imagine we have some emotional exhaustion scales pre, some post. Again, this could be competency pre to post, pain pre to post, something pre to post. And the other thing I would do is get out of this is probably just clean up these labels here. You can just go to the level of measurement caret and then put in just to make the tables pretty. Let's just add one more for the heck of it. Okay. So most of the times we have demographics in and we have our outcome variables in. And the PICO question would be something like, did the intervention reduce emotional exhaustion among nurses? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. All righty. So really we want those data management functions. The variable calculator is going to be your friend here, which is creating a mean composite or some composite. Put in a name, click on mean composites, click on your variables, okay, and then hit submit, okay. So, data management is particularly the variable calculator, and then downloading of your new data. Those are important. Just to know there's different plots. The plots are okay here. I mean, it's hard to beat Microsoft, Word or Excel's plots, but we do have plots built in. And you can kind of see what's happening for males and females, okay, from pre to post. And then under the analyses, you can look under each of these things, okay? Like descriptives, typically you want to have your demographics and your research variables. Okay. By the way, for each of these things under management, plots and analyses, there's a video tutorial built right into that. And you can see the advantage of having an APA table. You're not fussing with that anymore. And then a little write-up about what's there. Females with the most frequent level. And then for the scale variables or my scale outcome variables, you can see in the APA table a nice little scroll over, okay, of what's in there. So for the t-tests, which most of you are doing, except for the two that I just came across, you're making me rethink all of that now. I want to compare my pre-test to my post-test. So I'm just putting in my variable 1, variable 2. Okay. With the t-test as an assumption of normality. Okay, so basically when that test of normality, the Shapiro-Wilk test, is not significant, as it is here, because that p-value is greater than 0.05, that indicates that the assumption is met. Okay. And then the results of the analysis, here we can see that it was significant. Okay. And we can see that the pre and post differ. Of course, we can see that the 1.91 was lower emotional exhaustion compared to the pre-test. Here is our probability level. Here is our effect size, and then all this can be downloaded, okay, into a Word document. So, okay, so that's one part of it. So this is the kind of the broad view of the statistics tool. Let me just briefly pivot to two other tools. One is the Intellectus Lit Review, and Melissa will put that into the chat. So this is a winner for when you're sitting on 20, 50, X amount of articles. This tool will help you in under an hour, group articles together, draft a synthesis of those groupings, draft a description of your of each of the articles, and then draft a gap in the literature that is based on your study aim and the research. What is the gap that justifies why you need to study that? Okay. Okay. So, and then there's a nice little video there sharing what's going on, and then you can start the free trial here. For faculty that are on schedule a demo, you can do that and just plug in for I think 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes. So you can just plug into that and we can talk about how this can assist your students to get a draft of it, something that they will absolutely have to edit, justify, okay? So, but just know that that is there. Okay, Melissa, are there other questions at the moment?
Yep, we have a shared project, and if you're not sharing your screen right now, I'm not sure if you know that.
I'm not sharing my screen?
No.
Oh, I need to be sharing my screen. All right, it says,
Oh, yes, you are. Sorry. That was me.
Okay,
Okay. All right, I'm gonna unmute.
I go
Uh,
by Nisa.
you go by what?
Nisa, N-I-S-A.
And Nisa, okay, so thank you for not letting me struggle with your name there. Okay? So, okay,
Yeah, I was prompt on saying that, wasn't I?
yeah. All right, so what do we have here? So what we have time, we have ORT, and we have COM. And are these zeros and ones, yes or no's, or what are they?
It is correct. So the nominal is the pre and the post. So 0 is the pre and the ones are the post.
Under time, correct?
Under the time, correct.
Okay, so I'd like to actually put these things in here. So 0 is a pre,
Ah,
okay, and one is
okay.
a post. Okay,
Yes.
so that, and I did that again just by clicking on this down.
Yeah, I see that. Yep, perfect.
So
Okay.
now over here, what do we have?
And then again, the first 50 are the pre.
Of the ORT?
Or ORT. So the first 50 were the ORTs that was done before I did the intervention. And so 0 is inconsistent ORT results.
The under column B, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
So
so
0
one
is the inconsistent results, and whereas the 1 is they completed the
is consistent
ORT.
results.
Yes.
Okay, something like that. Yeah?
Sure. Or completed or and
Oh, okay, I
incompleted.
can say completed. I'll use your line. So this is completed.
Completed results and not inconsistent, meaning not completed.
Okay. Put them back in the same variable. Okay, and then what's going on here?
The same. 0 is the scale, the assessments, the comps that were not completed on these patients.
Do you
And
want to
then
say inconsistent results or not completed?
inconsistent is fine.
Okay, sorry, I wanted to suffer through my typing, and then this is completed results.
That is yes, that is the completed ones.
Okay. All right. So let me put you to the test there, Nisa. So you want to compare, let's just say ORT by pre and post, correct?
Yeah. So I already completed, and I actually have all my results in that study, if you will.
Let's go
I ran it through the analysis using
Intellectus.
correct, using the Intellectus and using the chi-square test.
Chi-square, they pronounce it. But
yeah.
since you helped me out with Nisa, I'm going to help you out with chi-square.
So I used the chi-square test, and I did ran each one of those, first the ORT and then the comp through.
Good.
Yeah.
So for everyone else on the call, so a chi-square test is the test to use when you're examining the relationship between two nominal variables. In Nisa's case, we're looking at time pre to post and ORT consistent and inconsistent. And let me just run one more just so we have nice. So and the chi-square test is sitting under non-parametrics. For those that you don't know, and we're going to select from the variables, and I'm going to select time.
And then the second variable ORT. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then with those chi-square tests, that there's assumptions going on here. So let's just look at the table for a moment. So for everyone and by the way, this is the other, I'll say, most common analysis after the pair t-test is the chi-square test. And on the outside of the parentheses is the observed. So What that means is that there were 46 individuals that were both at pretest and had inconsistent results. There were 4 people at pretest that had completed results. And you can see those things kind of flop when we get to post-test. The other thing that we need to look at is the expected value. And the expected values are really derived from the, I'll say from the row frequencies and from the column frequencies. And just to give you a simple example, if I had 50 males, 50 females, and Coca-Cola and Pepsi, I have 4 cells, as Nisa has here. 50 men like Coke, 50 men like Pepsi. Well, by chance, 50 men would like Coca-Cola, 50 men would like Pepsi. By chance, 50 women would like Coca-Cola, 50 women would like Pepsi. In other words, since I have equal
I'll have to come back to you.
sizes, okay?
Give me a few minutes.
All right. So, and you can just Google, how to calculate expected values. Once so the assumptions are going to deal with those expected values. So specifically, the expected value, all cells have expected values greater than 0. That's inside here. Those are the expected values. You can see 100%, 4 out of 4, have expected values greater than 0. And 80% of those cells have expected values of at least 5. Well, gosh, they're all 26 or 24 in there. So those assumptions are met, okay? And then once we know that, then we just got to look at the significance level to see that it's less than 0.05, which means that it is significant. Once we know our assumptions are met, the chi-square value is statistically significant, then all we do is compare the observed from expected. So in this case, I wouldn't have to do all 4 of them necessarily, but what I would say is, hey, gosh, at pretest, there's many more folks that had inconsistent results than were expected by chance. And at post-test, there were many more folks that had completed that were expected by chance. And that's our interpretation, okay?
That's right.
All right, so there we go. So you're in good shape. You don't need me. You don't need this. You're good. Did you have questions though?
The question that I had was, so now I know these results are pretty strong, pretty consistent. I was going to just pick these results up from my Intellectus software and put it in my publication. Is that enough, or do I have to have a statistician review this and say the same?
No, I think you're in good shape.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question though.
Yes, sir.
This ORT consistent, what does that mean? Let me
So it
just,
is,
oh,
so
go ahead.
I work in a pain management practice, and these are the 2 tools. So the ORT is opioid risk tool, and
What is the name of this tool?
opioid risk tool.
What was the first word? Something risk tool.
Opioid.
Oh.
And so
And what's the second one?
it is continuous. Control.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh my
Alright.
goodness.
It's okay. So here's
Okay,
what I'm gonna do.
so these are the 2 forms. So it is current opioid misuse measure is what it's called. Current opioid misuse measure.
Wait, time out. Okay, sorry. So this is
Current opioid misuse measure. So the opioid risk.
give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, so these are validated instruments. Okay.
Yes, correct.
So here's why I'm doing this.
Okay.
So this is for everybody else who's on this call. So here, I'm just gonna redo these chi-squares, okay?
Okay.
Uh, so basically it's just do descriptives.
Okay.
All right, so and there's a method to my madness here. So here's my descriptives. Here's the chi-square with ORT, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna do another chi-square with time. And okay, so the reason I did this, and for everyone else on the call, and we're changing this interface for the insights is going to be the discussion draft, but at the moment, and then with our new tool or new interface, you'll be able to cite the name of those instruments, okay? And if you want to put in the year and the author, I suggest that. But we're going to find out how it goes with just the description you gave me, current opioid misuse measure, and what the other one was as well. Okay, so, but the event, so it's going to be sitting right here, okay? Under, it's going to be dissertation draft. It does take a minute, but what this is going to do, it's going to provide a draft of your discussion section based on your measures and based on the outcome of your measures.
Oh, great.
So this is going to save you 20 hours of your life. Now, let me give you the caveats for everybody on the call. Let's get the caveats out. The caveats are that it's AI drafted, so you have to edit everything.
Yeah.
And the other caveat is 5 to 15% of the references are hallucinated. So you have to put every single one of those references into Google Scholar to make sure that they're real, make sure the DOI is accurate and so forth. Sometimes it's just off by DOI, sometimes it's off by an author, sometimes the whole darn thing is hallucinated.
Yeah.
If the whole thing is hallucinated, you can still use the intellectual thought, okay, and look for another article that supports that point. All right, so all is not lost, but for sure you got to edit the heck out of it. For sure you got to double check the references, okay. But what you get for that, whatever, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of work is going to be this, which we're going to see in 2 seconds, but it does take a second. So this is what you get. Summary of the findings. This is the beginning of your discussion, which is citing your analyses. Improve consistency in opioid risk assessment. Okay. Do you know any of these references?
Dow et al. I don't think so.
None of these. Okay. So if these,
Uh,
so you'll vet them, but if they add to your research, awesome. It's
Yeah.
talking about interpreting your findings, okay?
yeah.
Looking at different improvement among these two things. Theoretical implications of your outcomes to the research literature. Practical implications, okay?
Yeah, this is amazing. It can at least serve as a bare
Right.
bones that can help us put in more meat and make it ready.
That's right. You're drilling into this thing. Limitations of the study, future research directions,
Yeah.
conclusions, and then here are those references I talked about. So these is really important stuff that you can just download and you have that.
Butler is the research 2017 that I got the permissions to use the ORT tool.
Right on.
Yeah.
So any of these other ones look familiar? Well, some of them will be. Hopefully you have a lot of these, but you can also, again, you can add references in your discussion, but
Right.
just to know, it doesn't cost you a penny, okay? But you can have a discussion draft that you didn't have 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, this is good.
All right. Final questions for me? Or thoughts?
I had one more question. So in the plots, when I use the plots, I took my my data and I could use this bar plot. Is there any other better plot for my particular study, you think?
No, you got what you got. That's it.
Okay,
I mean, I'd get rid of missing. I'd probably not have missing in there. You know,
okay,
that's not giving me any information. I mean, to be frank with you, I mean, it's hard to beat a Word document plot. I mean, if you want to put this in there and you want to, you know, you can export it and add to your document.
that's what I did, is because they
Yeah.
wanted some kind of pictures also to portray the results.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I wouldn't put it horizontal, I'd probably put it vertical. I mean, I think I would do,
Oh, you can change it?
I believe so. Edit inputs, and I think I would have the vertical.
Ah, okay, great.
Okay, I think that would be one thing I would do.
Okay.
Pre to post on time. I'm not having the inputs here, so I don't want time. By time, I think I want something like that. You could do this for each one of these
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Okay. And to see how it flip flops. So that's not the worst thing in the world. I'd probably put in
you can add all the 4 variables to one chart. Great.
no, I think I'd do it one at a time, but I think
Okay,
I think I would just do one for the ORT, and then I would do another one for the as you have with the
okay,
so you know, just edit inputs, put it vertical,
okay,
put put time. And to me, you know, you're just showing how things are flopping.
that's right.
Okay, and I think on the labels, I'd put data labels there. I'd put data labels there.
Yeah,
Just to kind of hammer home what's happening here. And then I'd export these suckers.
thank you.
Yeah. All right, and here, export analysis. I mean, and you can see kind of the whole thing is done here. So I'm gonna get rid of those, just keep those last two. So really you have your whole darn study here. You have your descriptives,
Yeah,
okay, which is editable. These, what I don't like about, you can't really edit these things, so it's
yeah,
gonna like this. So you gotta make sure that that name is great for you, okay?
yeah,
Make sure this is probably not mean value, that's probably frequency, okay?
yeah. It's
So,
number
so,
of
so you
studies
need to,
completed.
so you need to edit that. So a little
Yeah.
bit of work, but I like the labels rather than 0 and 1. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. All righty. Good to go?
yes, thank you.
Yep. Refer 10 colleagues to the tool and to the lit review because it's going to help them.
Yeah, no
All
doubt.
right. Nisa, nice meeting you.
You too, sir, thank you.
Yep. Cheers. Bye-bye. All right. Final thoughts, questions, comments?
We had one more question from Rachel that says, I think I'll have to use descriptive analysis for my project due to mismatched pre-post participant numbers and low sample size. Any suggestions for using that form of analysis?
So you do not have to use purely descriptives. So as I showed in my honestly, for these projects, I would just do independent sample t-tests and just use I would just load up the data. Let me just show you here. If you have pre-post data, but you don't know that this person has this data and this data, what I would do is simply this. I would just create a new column, okay, and call it time, and then have all of these guys be pre, okay. Okay, but then here's my pre, and then I would just start adding the rows. Okay, and then just take all of my posts, copy, Control C, and just, I would make and just get rid of this. Okay, and then just make all of this post. All right, so so instead of having it side by side, I would just stack and just treat them. It's not totally accurate because they're supposed to be independent observations, so blah blah blah. But I think for these things, I would ask your advisor, can I just treat them as separate groups and do an independent sample t-test? Okay, so instead of the paired t-test where the data was next to each other, knowing who was matched to who, I would just ask, hey, given this, can I just run an independent sample t-test on EE? By the way, it's just going to be emotional exhaustion. Okay. Okay. And you have the pre and the post identified here, and just run an independent sample t-test. It's probably going to be fine. If they're a stickler and they say the assumption of independence is not met, then you're at descriptive land, okay? In which case I would still stack it like that. Okay. And I'd go to descriptives and go to descriptives and go to variables and then put in my EE, and then I would just cross tab it by time. Okay. I have to put it in there. All right, so so if you're going to go down a purely descriptive path, that's fine. You can do that pre and post. Here's the means. But otherwise, you could just do an independent sample t-test. I hope that helps. Final questions, thoughts? Everyone's going to get a copy of this video or recording. Everyone will get links to all of the tools. Everyone will get a link to this. I should give this. Pardon me. So here, you can schedule with me here. You can contact Samantha for student support here. Ashley for any faculty that are online for demos, trials, courseware. Melissa for institutional support or my availability. And then please do share this with others that this is, for those of you that have not used SPSS or Excel, this is a dreamboat. So please pass it along, share it with others, they can use it. And I think with that, I will wish everyone a great rest of the week. And thanks for your attention and staying in here, and stay safe. All right, take care all.